Welcome to Synchronicity. We have a very special episode this week. It's me giving a reading to Ali Crowley, who has an amazing name, which is a lot like Aleister Crowley. I didn't even ask her about that. I'm sure there's no relation. That would be weird, right? But she was so sweet. She was so nice. She basically, these readings are all different. Sometimes people will, interject and respond and say different things. And she was she was taking it all in. So this is really just an hour and a half of me speaking to her. I'm looking for signs of affirmation for her and I know she got everything I was saying. And it can be a little, as you'll find out relating to her fire energy, it can be a lot to take all of this in during a reading, and she just was so cool about it. So there's nothing for her to promote or do. Just wish Ali well because she's cool. I'm not going to say too much in this intro. The episode speaks for itself. I had a good time on Halloween in New York City. I'm going to be in LA very soon, and stay tuned for an event in New York City, a Synchronicity event. I think December 12th is what we're targeting. So that's going to be going on, and that's going to shape up to be something really cool, most likely in Brooklyn, Williamsburg, most likely. So is that it? Is this the quickest intro? Look, you may have noticed there weren't like 25 episodes this week. I'm going to be shifting down to probably 1 or 2 episodes a week for the next few weeks. Then I'll have a lot of episodes recorded after LA. So there's an ebb and flow to this stuff. Mercury is retrograde. You thought I was just going to plow through and put out 1 trillion episodes during Mercury retrograde? No way. I respect Hermes. I respect his process. He wants to go back and review shit, take his time. By all means, my man, do what you got to do. Anything? I don't know. I think that's it. I think we'll get right to this episode. If you're interested in readings, they're on the website. Also, I'm throwing this out there. When I travel, something I found that is a really fun way to pass the time, and I did this today on the train coming back, I'll do on Instagram these quick $7 to $13 tarot readings. So what they are is I'll draw your spread. I'll take a picture of it. I send it to you on Instagram, and I give you 3 paragraphs, what that means. So if you're interested in that and you don't want to pay for one of these long readings, you don't have the money or whatever it is, you have the money, by the way. Oh, let me big up a really cool book by Mitch Horowitz. And I'm going to do another money episode early this week because I've just been getting a lot of emails from people about the money stuff, and I want to share my personal experiences with it. And I know a lot of people have been waiting for it. But in the meantime, get this, just go on Audible. Don't use one of your credits. Actually pay for it because it's like $4. You don't want to waste it on a $4 book. Don't be a goof. But what you want to get is this book called How to Attract Money by Joseph Murphy. And it's read by Mitch Horowitz, our good friend Mitch. It's really good. So Joseph Murphy was also a student of Abdullah, who was Neville Goddard's teacher. And Joseph Murphy uses this subconscious. He wrote a book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. He approaches it a little bit differently than Neville Goddard. Neville got pretty heavily into the Christian mystic aspect of this. And Joseph got into kind of the more subconscious. There's a smattering of Bible stuff, but it's not really anything heavy-handed like Neville. So if money is something that you're trying to kind of like purge as a karmic knot here, I recommend it. It's short. It's like 2 hours long. It's practical. And I found it to be pretty helpful. And I will share my money stuff, my money karma stories, all of these things. That's what this next episode will be about. So it's going to be a little more practical. We're still in the void though, so it's going to get weird. I was talking to the concierge at the hotel last night, and I was like, yeah, it's weird out there. And he's like, yeah, it's Halloween. I was like, nah, like it feels weird. And he's like, yeah, it feels like an ascension, right? I'm like, what? How did we get into this conversation like that so quickly? I love it. So yeah, shout out to the James, the coolest hotel. Sponsor my podcast. Hotels. FYI, I'm not making this up. I am working on a project involving hotels, a podcast project. So if you work at a hotel or you know someone who runs cool hotels, I don't know who would be listening to this, hit me up. I am not joking. This thing is going to be fucking cool and just whatever. Right. let's get right to this episode. Big thanks to Ali Crowley for doing this. And yeah, buckle up for me talking for an hour and a half to someone about their chart. All right. See you on the other side.
Hello.
Ali,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Good.
Can you see my screen?
I can just see your little logo.
Okay, let me share and make sure that you can see this. We're
Okay.
we're recording now technically too, so
Okay.
just
Thank you.
letting you know. Okay. Can you see the screen now? You should see your chart.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then behind it, I just made visible, you should see the spread.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, cool. So before we just jump right into it, thank you for agreeing to do this. It's pretty cool that you're willing to broadcast this publicly out in the world. What I would love to hear a little bit more about you. I just got from Jake your details and just what brings you, what would possess a person to to do a live synchronicity reading by me and then have it broadcast out to thousands of people. What's your deal, Allie?
Well, that's a good question. I didn't really think about it like that until you're until you're
Oh yeah,
saying.
now the pressure's on.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just something I've just sort of stumbled upon. I've never had a reading done before,
Okay.
and I don't know any of these. However many people follow you, so why not be a guinea pig?
Yeah, well, that's what you've signed up for. So,
Yeah.
how much do you know about astrology and or tarot?
Not a ton. I know nothing really about tarot. Astrology, I know, my sun sign. That's about. I've seen this setup before. I've seen this like chart before, but
Right.
it is like totally foreign to me.
Yeah, well, it will be less foreign to you. Do you have headphones, by the way?
I don't. Would that make?
Just if you hear it might feed back sometimes through the speakers into the speaker, so if that happens we'll just
Okay.
yeah, because I talk fast and it seems to have happened sometimes. So
Got it.
okay, here is, I'm gonna give you a breakdown. This is what I do every single time for people so they can just get a feel for what we're doing with this and why one would do this. And before we get into the reading, and I start kind of breaking down what all this stuff means, I'll give you an opportunity if there's a specific area you want the cards applied to. But these are energetic maps more than anything else. They give us some perspective and insight into our natural patterns, but none of this is meant to be deterministic or, fate condemning you to some deterministic reality. That's very
Right.
important. This is why I tell people you're your natal chart, but you're the whole zodiac too.
Okay.
And to the degree that we can remember that, things that maybe show up as challenging, it's not like a death sentence. It's like, oh, you're condemned for challenging energy. It's just like, oh, we're kind of aware of that. Like if we're going to climb a mountain and this mountain, there's a storm, it doesn't deter us, but maybe we bring a little extra gear and we do that on the way to make it a little smoother for ourselves. So, that's what the zodiac is. That's what astrology is. Same thing for the tarot. I'll bring up your spread here just so you can look at it. You know, you're the whole deck. This is your unconscious, right? This is the part of you that decided one day to fill out a form and have a reading by me. It seems like you're making all these decisions, but it's really a very deep part of you that wants to use these cards and this reading to understand some aspect of yourself that is emerging or wants to emerge, or just you are consciously approaching. So that's all this stuff is. I've found when I've done readings with other people, the best readings I've got are almost always resonant with the deepest parts of me. Sometimes my conscious mind might fight it a little bit. The worst readings or interpretations I've found, not that I get a lot of those, are the people who are injecting their own personality and persona into the reading, because that's not necessary, right? You have all the answers. So my job is to kind of interpret this stuff and then basically get the fuck out of the way. So that's what I do, especially when it comes to the tarot. But let's run through the zodiac. So you have the visual representation of what's going on. People listening will not, but that's just an encouragement for them to come and do this with me personally. But
Yeah.
truthfully, what's going on here is the zodiac. So the zodiac is a circle. It's 360 degrees. It represents where the positions of the planets are, where the signs are, these fixed areas of the sky that we've assigned constellations to. Um, that's what we're looking at. So you are a sun sign Pisces. Most people are familiar with their sun sign because that's what was in the newspapers or the books, or,
Right.
that's like what everyone knows. So the sun sign is important, and we'll get into what all these things mean, but it's not what I would say is the most important. So most people are familiar with their sun sign. Less people are familiar with their moon sign. And their moon sign is actually how they feel. So your sun sign is how you express yourself out in the world. So you're certainly familiar with it. You're going to be comfortable with recognizing. You may not be comfortable with how you express yourself depending on what your sun sign is, but you'll be comfortable with knowing, like, yeah, that's kind of how I am in the world. But your moon is how you feel. So especially when you're alone or even when you're with other people, it's how you're internally feeling. So the moon is also represented and symbolically by the feminine, right? It is the deeper kind of reflective energy that really is who we are internally. And because of that, in an age in linear time when uh, the divine feminine is coming back pretty hard to rebalance things out, I strongly encourage everyone to become familiar with their moon sign and the positioning of it and just what house it's in and all these things, because this is how we actually feel. And if we take the idea that imagination creates reality and that the secret is feeling and how we feel is actually what unfolds, you can see why it's really important to know your moon sign, because it's going to give
Yeah.
you an accurate representation of how you're feeling and some of the energies related to that. Anyway, the other big out of the big three is your ascendant, right? And this is when you were born and took your first breath, the horizon was somewhere. And the horizon, moves relatively quickly. And yes, Ali, I am also a Scorpio rising. So,
Okay.
yes, so a rising sign is more how you it's your emergent aspect of your personality, and it's quite probably how people perceive you, right? So you have your moon is how you feel, your sun
Okay.
is how you express yourself, but how others perceive you is actually the ascendant. So it's this three little balance of these major placements. So for you, you have your sun is in Pisces, a water sign. Your moon is in Virgo, which I noted last night. I mean, everyone who comes to me is a Virgo moon. My wife is a Virgo moon. It's the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. Like,
Interesting.
it is,
Yeah.
well, and I get why it is, because there are some challenges. Wow, and we're definitely going to get into that. There are some challenges that come with Virgo moons, and I know this from having close relationships with many people, that I am not the best so far or traditionally at understanding and being able to kind of like fix. I like to fix things quickly. I like
Mhm.
to have things be in a state of, like unconditional love, forgiveness, and acceptance immediately. And Virgo
Yeah.
moons, their tendency to ruminate and kind of self-critically review things, um, does not always play nicely with that. So you may be familiar. Um,
Yeah. Makes sense.
yeah, and we'll get into all this. So running through the zodiac, though, I want to just go through all of the signs counterclockwise. That's how all this stuff moves. So we'll start in your sun sign of Pisces, which is just at the end of Pisces,
Yeah.
almost at the beginning of Aries. So that's this is a key to your chart. And your chart is the first of its kind that I've seen, and I'll point that out I'll point out the reasons why in a bit, but it's
Okay.
really interesting. I'm super excited, and just thank you again for doing this. Just because when I saw your chart, and especially when I pulled your cards, I was like, oh wow, this can't not be good based on these placements. So,
Oh, oh,
um,
cool. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. So here we go. Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and then back to Pisces. So those are the signs of the zodiac. And let's go over just the houses really quickly, and then we'll do the planets, and then we'll tie it all together with these aspects.
Okay.
So, what we're looking at here are the houses, and the houses start on your ascendant. So, the 12th and the first house, that's that line right there. Each
Okay.
of the houses are representative of situations and aspects of your life in this world. So, for instance, the first house is the house of self. The 12th house, the one right before it, ruled by Pisces,
Mm.
is uh, the house of self undoing, which has a very ominous sounding name,
Yes.
but it actually is quite incredible because it's what leads us to our real self, right? We undo, peel off layers of ourselves that aren't actually us and our full expression of us, which is a fulfilled, happy, non fearful, just amazing person. We keep doing that until, oh, lo and behold, here we are. So that's a very powerful energy. But each of these other houses have other things, like the seventh house, for instance, is the house of partnerships, one-to-one relationships. The
Okay.
second house is where you have a lot of planets here, is the house of value, right? How we determine value, what we value, who we value. So each house is ruled, and we'll talk about the placements of your planets relative to those houses. So now we're going to go over the planets. So we went over two of them, the moon and the sun, but
Mhm.
there's all these other planets here too. And this is when astrology really like popped open for me and started revealing itself, is when I started to understand the planets.
Okay.
So we'll start with the sun, and we'll again go counterclockwise, and we'll note which planets are in your placements and where they are. So you have your Jupiter in Gemini. You also have your Mars in Gemini, both in your seventh house, the house of relationships, one-to-one relationships. This is
Okay.
Chiron. We're not going to talk about Chiron. The reason I pull him up in charts is because if he shows up somewhere, um, like really interesting, or he's like next to a planet or conjunct a planet, then I'll bring him up. But otherwise, we don't have to worry about him.
Okay.
So he's not a planet. He's like a fixed star.
Okay.
Then there's the moon again in Virgo. There's Pluto. Oh, you got Pluto and Scorpio. You got a lot of good placements here. Um,
Oh, cool. Okay.
Pluto rules Scorpio, and that's in your 12th house. And you know, it's 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 intense. It's good though, and you have blue lines, and we'll get over to all these lines and stuff too. So
Okay.
then Pluto and Scorpio, you have Uranus in Capricorn, you have Neptune in Capricorn, you have Saturn in Capricorn. Capricorn is the devil in the tarot. It's the path of fear. It's excellent to have all of these things here. You're gonna have a really interesting and probably pretty amazing year over the next year, just because everything, these green planets on the outside, that's where they are now. And they
Oh,
move counterclockwise unless they go retrograde. And Jupiter is going to move into Capricorn, and Saturn's already there, and Pluto's there. And it's just going to, there's going to be a lot of fear energy, which is good because based on your placements too and your aspects, like you know how to transmute that, which is wonderful. Okay. And then following around, here we have this thing that's like this T with this little thing around it. That's the true node. I don't think we'll be talking about that today.
okay.
It's just a point in the sky. And then we have Mercury, and then we have Venus, and those are both in Pisces for you.
Okay.
And then the last aspect of the chart outside of these lines that I'll talk about is this MC, which is your midheaven point. And your midheaven point is in Virgo, where your moon is. And this is kind of like your destiny blueprint for this life. Like, this is your full expression of who you are. And we see it's on this axis between the 10th and the ninth house. And the
Mhm.
10th house is your house of social status, ruled by Capricorn. And your ninth house is your house of philosophy, ruled by Sagittarius. So you have yours in Virgo, and Virgo is an earth sign, represented by the Virgin, but, very, we'll talk about what this means as it comes up,
Okay, I can't
because
wait.
now we're going to get to these aspects. So we see these blue lines, which are trines and
Mhm.
sextiles. And then we see these red lines, which are oppositions and squares. So the best way, someone explained it to me, and then it clicked for me, is the best way to explain these lines is the blue lines are flowy. They're they're nice. They're easy. They're like if you're going down a stream and you're in like a kayak, like you barely have to paddle at all to get where you're going. Maybe you stick your oar into the water to direct it a little bit, but it's so flowy. Like this stuff comes naturally to you. Like obstacles that are presented on these paths are easily overcome, and it's
Oh,
pretty great. The red lines are not like bad. They're just a little more challenging. You
oh,
maybe have to paddle a little bit more. You might have to go upstream in the case of an opposition. Maybe you have to move around some obstacles in the case of a square. And so, what these lines really are is they're the relationships between the planets and the positionings of those planets. So, this is what those mean. They look complicated at first, but then when you understand that they're just relationships, um, it's pretty easy. And then I want to move to this little box here. We're not going to do this whole big box, but this little box is the elemental breakdown. And after I do the elemental breakdown, I want to talk about the gods and the planets a little bit more because that's relevant. But your elemental breakdown is fascinating.
oh,
Okay, so
okay.
we have fire, air, earth, and water. And then we have these cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So fire, air, earth, and water we'll get into. Those also correspond to suits of the tarot. Fire is wands, air is swords, earth is pentacles, water is cups. And then cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So cardinal energy is like the leader of, right? So the
Yeah,
leader of earth energy is Capricorn, and that's why we see these planets show up there, right? Then we
okay,
see in the F is fixed. That's like that energy is fixed. To move that would require like a tectonic shift, like a huge shift in energy to like get those things to move around.
okay,
Mutable, where you have the most signs, is like flowy. You can kind of change that in different directions. So it's a little more malleable. Okay.
okay.
So what stands out to me, why I say I've never seen a chart like this, is you literally have no fire energy with any
Yeah.
of the major placements. And I'm sure this will come up during this reading, and you'll be like, "What the fuck?" You have air energy, right? And so fire is representative of movement, passion, ambition. Can be aggression. But like think Apollo, think the god of war, right? This
Mhm.
is what fire energy is, and it's not bad. It's just like we need that as kind of like our spark and then flame to do what we need to do.
Right.
You have Jupiter and Mars in the mutable sign of Gemini in your air energy. Air is like intellect, quickness of mind, decisions, clarity. You have Jupiter and Mars, and we'll get into the gods, what that means, but those are placed in your air signs. And then you have like a pretty healthy amount of Earth energy. Those three signs, three planets we mentioned, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, all in Capricorn. And then you have your moon and midheaven in Virgo. So, earth energy is groundedness, practicality, things pertaining to this world, right? This external reality we find ourselves in. That is, again, represented by pentacles in the tarot.
Okay.
And then, oh my gosh, you have so much water energy. You have your Pluto and your ascendant in Scorpio. You have your sun, Mercury, Venus, and then there's your true node as well in the mutable signs of Pisces. So that's feeling, that's intuition. And that is very telling about kind of the positioning of your energies in your chart. So that no fire energy, and we can open this up and like there's more planets and all these other things we can include, like
Mhm.
asteroids, and we could find fire energy and drill down. But just in terms of the major placements, it's certainly an area that probably pops up in your life. It would be almost like it would shock me if this theme of not having fire energy in certain aspects as it pertains to either obstacles or ways you kind of manage difficult situations, both in the
Yeah.
positive and negative aspect, like it would probably, like you could probably like not get angry at a lot of things, but it might also be difficult to summon up the inner fire to focus on something that maybe seems hard or not possible and keep that going. And the
Yeah.
reason, yeah, I get it. So the reason that happens is because when we have so much water energy, there is a natural internal flame that we all have. And this, I speak from direct experience with this. This is what happened to me. I'm a lot of
Mhm.
fire and water. And what
Okay.
I was constantly doing is I was letting my feelings and my emotions put out that inner flame. So whenever there would be a spark or anything, like my feelings would come in and not in like a bad way, they would just put it out. And I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So for me, what really switched it is I had like no earth energy. I just have my Venus. Venus
Mhm.
is love, and I have it in Virgo. And this is probably why there's so many Virgo moons coming to me. But um
Yeah.
uh, basically I created a vessel. Kind of think of like a clay pot that I poured the water into, my feelings, and then I lit the flame underneath that and it kind of like boiled it and turned it into air. So I got this harmony of all the four energies. And just when I say I did this, I had no idea. I wasn't consciously thinking about any of this. It was all after the fact. I'm like, "Oh, that's what I did."
Oh, okay.
So what we're looking for here is practical ways for you to get unstuck where you need to get unstuck and basically to fully remember that you can do whatever you want whenever you want to do it. So that's your elemental breakdown. Now let's move
Okay.
to the gods. So the planets have their Roman names, which they're the Roman names for the deities, but those were appropriated from the Greeks, who appropriated them from other things, and down the line. But they mean, what this means is that each planet is quite literally a god, and each god has attributes and qualities associated with it. And so then when we look at these aspects, we start to see the relationship not only as these abstract conceptions of the interplay between planets, like what, who cares? It's like, oh my God, Zeus and his dad Kronos are fighting. What are they fighting about? Because what qualities are associated with Zeus? Oh, Zeus is the boon giver, he gives gifts. What's Kronos? Oh, he's time and teaches lessons, and they're hard. So like you begin to see this kind of as like a family dynamic, which we all can understand, and it makes it more accessible for people to understand like the deities. And just to be clear, not everyone has to believe this, but the gods are real. They're 100% real. Zeus exists. Jupiter, Cronus exists. Hermes exists. They exist because we project them from within us outside, say they exist, and therefore they exist. So you can think of them as like concepts or abstract realities, or you can be like, nope, they're real. I believe they're real. There's no thing that says one has to, but it makes it very useful in terms of
Yeah.
understanding what's going on. Okay, so now let's get to these aspects and your positionings. So the first thing that sticks out to me are these Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn, all in Capricorn. So Capricorn, as I mentioned, is the devil. The path is fear. And when people hear that, they have a variety of reactions. It doesn't sound great to most people, and the devil usually has negative connotations, but it's not. It's like it's one of the most direct paths to, oh gosh, enlightenment, waking up, recognizing what's actually going on, popping out of the matrix. Because fear, while it feels so heavy and real and present while we're under its spell, as we move towards it, we move through it and find that it's completely insubstantial. So
Right.
it's can be a very difficult teacher. And to see Saturn there, Saturn is Kronos, that's Zeus's dad. He's the teacher of lessons, long lessons usually. He's karma, he is time. So, what's cool about your Saturn, Ali, is all the lines are blue. There's one, I lied, and it's a little one, but they're next to each other and it's in Capricorn. So, that's something we'll talk about. But all of your major planets that are distance away, like your Saturn has this line to your moon, to your feelings, which is a wonderful thing, which means that the lessons that you learn over time probably aren't going to be as very painful. You know,
Oh,
they'll
good. Yeah.
probably feel aligned with how you actually feel and aren't going to kind of like mess your whole world up. Now, there is something we'll bring up related to your feelings in a second. Um, but also, your Saturn has this beautiful sextile to your Mercury, who's Hermes. Hermes is the god of communication, he's the god of persuasion, of speech, of thoughts, of ideas. And he's Osiris, right? In the Egyptian, he's the solar symbol. He's Hanuman in the Vedic traditions. He's all the cool things. And he is what allows us to take in and process information and also disseminate it and communicate it. My Mercury is on my midheaven in Leo, which is why I speak the way I do. So, your Mercury, though, is really playing nicely with your Saturn. So, these lessons that you learn over time, you actually can digest and process. That's really important because that some people who don't have that aspect may not be able to do that. And the connection there is between your house of value and the second house, right, where Saturn is, and for your Mercury, and that's in Capricorn, and for your Mercury, it's in your house of home and family, right? So in
Okay.
Pisces. So this is a sense of feeling related to your home and family. Lessons learned there, you can both understand and communicate to your family, your home life, your family life. Well,
Okay.
that's an amazing gift. And if you're familiar with it, wonderful. If it's emerging, just know that over the arc of time, that's a very benevolent aspect to have there. Now, let's talk about something that Saturn maybe doesn't play so nicely with you in your house of fear. And they're both there is your Uranus, Uranus. Uranus was Kronos' dad. So he was the father of the Titans. The Titans. Oh, so listen to this. Listen to this. My Siri doesn't like she'll randomly just go off when I say a word. And so for some reason she just thought I said father and she started reading me about father. That's weird.
Oh, that's
That's
funny.
freaking
That's
me
weird.
out a little bit. Okay, Siri, go away cuz I don't need that. Uranus was the father of the Titans and Zeus was the Titans were Kronos was father of the gods. And we'll get into that mythology when we get into Jupiter and all of that. But basically, Uranus mated with Gaia, and that created the Titans. So he's like real out there. He's like basically just a concept for most people. Most people don't even think of him as something. But what he represents is new ideas, freedom, and originality.
Okay.
So that father son relationship in the house of fear, in terms of what you value, both internally and externally, the lessons you learn there probably aren't as flowy. So when new ideas emerge, when a sense of freedom or a desire for freedom or originality emerges, that might not be something you pick up on pattern wise, the kind of tension or obstructions that may evolve from that. So the first step is being aware of what new ideas or sensations or feelings are coming up related to originality and freedom,
Mhm.
and new ideas. That's the first step. And then to recognize any kind of incongruency. And you also, since we're here, let's look at these other red lines.
Yeah.
Okay. So you also have more red lines. Most of your stuff's blue, which is great, but you do have these red lines, these squares between Uranus and what is that? Oh, yep. Venus. Venus is Aphrodite. She's love. She's both how we receive and give love. And your Uranus also has this square with your sun. And that
Oh,
is also in your fourth house, your home and family. So there's some energy there. Let's talk about
yeah.
it. New ideas as they come into your head, your ability to express yourself in your own unique way may clash with a how you express yourself and how that is perceived by your family and in your home life, and it may potentially bring up some tension related to your love and both how you give and receive love. And that does not just mean with your partner, and it
Mm,
doesn't just mean for it means for everything, for children, for other extended family, for just the way you give and receive love. Your Venus is there again in Pisces. And Pisces is the zodiac symbol represented by two fish going in opposite directions.
Mhm.
So there can be this sense of kind of like being pulled in two different directions related to love for you. And it's an energy, and
Yeah.
especially that may come out when new ideas are popping in to your head, or you're like, I
Okay.
really need space or freedom, and that may seem like a conflict between what you have going on in your home and family life. So this doesn't mean like it's bad, or you got to take some drastic steps, or you got to do this, or some other thing is going to happen. It just means be aware of that. Just be
Yeah.
aware of those dynamics so you don't get overwhelmed by them and go, oh, well, you know what it is? It's just my Venus in Pisces in square with my Uranus in Capricorn. Like, no, and people be like, what are you talking about, Ali? You're not making sense. But they are energies nonetheless. And they're powerful. And like your chart, as you can see, you have these kind of like groupings together of three here in Capricorn in your house of value, and then
Mhm.
here in Pisces, right? I mean, your son like really wants to be in Aries. It's just
Yeah.
so obvious now, and you can see why you don't have any fire energy. It,
Yeah.
so you're on that line, so you can kind of, and this is going to be, I know this sun placement for you is going to be really helpful. And the cards will also get to that because I saw some wands in there. Okay.
Okay.
So now let's talk about easily the most challenging aspect of your chart, which is this direct opposition between Mercury, Hermes, and Pisces, and your moon in Virgo near your midheaven in your ninth house. Okay. Your ability to communicate and understand um, your emotions is not great.
No,
It's the
sure isn't.
I don't know how much more clearly to say that. I can tell you that as it relates to your moon is in Virgo in your ninth house. So what I mean by that is that's the house of philosophy. That's the house of travel, inner and outer. And
Mhm.
it's the house of expansion. I kind of have added that term, but I'm a Sagittarius moon, so I am allowed to do that because Sagittarius rules the ninth house. Um, it's interesting because your
Yeah.
moon is placed, you, on one hand, you have this earth energy that is practical, attention focused, detail oriented, and this is how you feel. And it makes you feel good when that stuff is going on. And on
Uh-huh.
another hand, it's placed in your ninth house, which is kind of your house of philosophy. So the balancing of those energies is basically your destiny. I don't have any like right this second have a practical way for you to do that, just because it'll come out during this reading though, I'm sure of it.
Okay.
But what you have to be aware of is that oh man, your Mercury, your Hermes in your fourth house, in the house of home and family, is opposed to the way you feel. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that is a big time energy to work through for you. And it's just to be aware of it. Um, because your tendency to, and the only reason I'm speaking so boldly about this again is because I know enough Virgo moons now to know how they are. Your
Yeah.
tendency to ruminate and self like be self-critical and
Mhm.
obsess over your feelings about anything basically, but especially related to um your family life, or how that may be in conflict with what something you feel or want to do, like that is the energy that you will transcend this life. It's your basically like your path. Um,
Okay.
so let's talk about ways that that can be helped, and some things that also don't really help that. So in your one-to-one relationships, um, you have your Jup in your seventh house right here. I'm going to
Mhm.
Gemini, which is the twins. You have a lot of duality in your chart, Allie. You have Jupiter here, who plays very nicely with your sun and your Venus, which basically means you get gifts of love. You get gifts of both how you receive and express love. So that is a big time saving grace for you in terms of any oppositions going on with your feelings, because you're just constantly being bombarded with really positive one-to-one relationships, and in both directions. It doesn't matter. That's what the twins are doing there. Like, that's just an energy that will continue to happen for you, and it's great.
That
um,
is.
yeah, and your Mars, right? Your Mars is Apollo, god of war, but ambition, fire energy. This is your ruler right here. This is who you want to tap into, and he plays nicely with your Venus, with your Aphrodite. So as you move, as you take action, good things happen to you in the realm of love. Like, that is absolutely something that this chart says. Now, your Jupiter and your Mars do not play particularly nicely with your feelings and your moon in Virgo. So you have this interesting dynamic where as you move, your love is fed, right? As you take action, but your feelings are like, no, I don't know if this is right. Or am I supposed to be doing this? Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I get it, man.
Sounds about
Yeah.
right.
And that's your opposition there.
Okay.
But it's something that happens. And then your Jupiter also, as it's giving you these gifts of love, as it's basically like, hey, this is awesome, especially in your home and family life. Boom, 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 gift, gift, gift. Your
Yeah.
moon is like, yeah, but is it? Is it really? Like, could something bad happen? Is this going on? Like, what is this? It's just constantly like reviewing and being like, is this really okay? Like, am I getting away with something? So yeah, I mean, I now trust me, I've done enough of these charts and lived with the Virgo moon long enough to get and I'm actually being you're coming at a good time, because I'm actually like, I am finally being able to help my wife as a person and not my
Oh,
wife.
cool.
And it's through understanding her Virgo moon, just because, like, yeah, like, I get
Yeah.
it. It's not, I have so much fire energy that as I kind of like opened up to it, um, that can kind of rub some of the Virgo tendencies the wrong way, to be kind of detail oriented and dot every I and cross every T and make sure you look at it in its positive aspect. Just to be clear, your Virgo moon, and this is where Saturn and your Uranus come in to play, is it, it really just like it can, when it goes over the checklist of your to-do list of like emotional well-being, when you complete it and you know you feel good about all those things, like, amazing. You have dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's for your well-being,
Yeah.
rather than it being like, oh my God, I didn't, what about the, it's like a tension, fear-based thing. So again, to the degree that you can eliminate the fearful aspects and tendencies related to new ideas, originality, and freedom, you will start to navigate this opposition and this Jupiter and Mars energy um, pretty well. And then let's talk about this nice little trine between Pluto, Saturn, and Mercury, because this is another energy that's going to help you a lot. So we have Pluto and Scorpio. Scorpio is, it's like death, rebirth, cyclical existence. It's Scorpio season right now. Mercury is about to go retrograde in Scorpio. We got a whole lot of shit going on in Scorpio. Scorpios freak people out. I'm a Scorpio rising. You're a Scorpio rising. We probably don't feel like we're freaking people out a lot, but we can freak people out because
Oh,
when,
that's good to know.
yeah, just in the sense that, like, we can appear to be hot and cold. We can appear to be like overly into something and then all of a sudden not be.
Yeah.
And like, it's not really who we are. It's just an energy. And you have your Pluto right there as well. And Pluto is like the great reviewer. It's like the creator and destruction energy. And all of this is organized here in your 12th house, right?
Okay.
And what that means is your path here for your communication is the ability to review on longer time frames. So your moon is basically going to want to be reviewing relatively short time frames, relatively like present, maybe month, or maybe even as much as a year. But your key to getting past that Virgo rumination energy is to broaden your perspective,
Okay.
Review the arc of your life and emotions and your desires in a bird's eye view, and you'll be
Mhm.
able to communicate and understand what's going on in a much more significant and helpful way. That will ultimately lead to you psychically killing the versions of yourselves that no longer make this easy and effortless for you, right? This
Yeah.
Virgo moon Mercury opposition is not bad. Do you know how amazing it's going to feel when you like master that energy?
Oh,
Like
I'm sure.
it's just a wonderful feeling. And, for such an intense opposition like that, and especially once you bring the fire into your life and like stabilize it, not only will you be able to help yourself, you'll be able to help a lot of other people. And just to be clear, Virgo moons, more than anything in the world, they want to be of service for
Yeah.
other people and the world. So your path is directly, and your midheaven is right here as well, is directly related to your ability to find your calling, find exactly what it is you're supposed to be doing. And that will most likely be related to serving others. And you'll know it. Like it won't be like one of the, is this it? Is that it? You'll be like, this is it. And
Yeah.
then because of, you know, your imagination, this reading, and all these other things, you're going to have the practical tools that once you hone in on that thing, you will like lock onto it like a pit bull on something. Like it is not going to go away. So you will have these tools, but that really, just to be clear, like that is your path. Um,
Okay.
and it's coming.
That
Okay.
feels like a lot of confirmation. Feels good to hear that from you.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
That's the best
Yeah.
thing I can hear. We'll look at some electional stuff related to transits, but right now you're in the clear. Do you have any other questions related to your chart?
No, I mean, that is the most I've ever understood it, so
It's
you
my
did a great job explaining it to me.
Yeah, I mean, I want to make this stuff understandable for people because it can seem so abstract and like,
Ah,
up in the sky, and it's like it's not. It's actually like I did so many of these that it just taught me that it's not bullshit, number one. And then number two, if you just understand what this actually means, and can slip into your intuitive mind when reading it for other people and yourself, like it's really helpful. That's all
yeah. Yeah.
okay. So
Fascinating.
now, yeah. So now we move into the tarot.
Okay.
And this is where I give you an opportunity, if there's a specific area of your life or a theme you would like it applied to, you have the opportunity to do that. It is not obligatory. You don't have to, but you can.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, kind of what you were just saying about, like, what is my path? And I feel like I'm supposed to be of service, like, that's kind of what I've been struggling with for the past couple of years, like, figuring out what that is. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
You're such a Virgo moon. It's so classic. It's like, this is every single conversation I've had with a Virgo moon. It's
So
just it
crazy.
blows my it is it's pretty crazy, but it's
Yeah.
what it means is that it's a big energy that a lot of people are going through,
Mhm.
and not just Virgo moons. I have a hunch that the Virgo moons who figure out and actualize what it is they're supposed to do will really be able to help a lot of other people who aren't Virgo moons figure out what they want to do, because it's not just people with that placement who are like, I can't figure out what I want to do. That's like
Yeah.
a lot of people. But I do think that particular placement, um, there's a lot of power in there. Okay. So this
Cool.
is a Celtic cross.
Okay.
So I'll go over what the positions of the cards mean, and I'll go over, just kind of the general thing. And then we'll go through each card individually. This is one
Okay.
of my favorite. This is what I do for the deep dives and the longer readings, just because it gives us so many different ways of looking at you and your who you are, and different angles and perspectives that inevitably, like, it gets to the bottom of it. Like I've never not seen this work. And even for people who are like, I don't believe in anything related to tarot, and they're like, I don't care about it. That by the end of it, they're like, huh, that was weird. It's like, yeah, because it always works.
Oh,
Um,
I'm excited.
so the first position card here in the middle is what's known as the present situation. So this is your
Okay.
situation. The second card that I have laid out over here traditionally lies on top of this over it. I've put it over here so we can see it and look at it. Um,
Okay.
that's the challenge card. Okay. It makes,
Okay.
and God, it just makes so much sense, Ali. It's ridiculous. Um, then the third card here is the past, and the fourth card is the future. And this is where I say that time is a construct. It doesn't actually exist, even though we experience it as existing. Past and future, past, yes, it means it's something that you have experienced, and that way it's in the past, but it is still changeable in a lot of ways. And the future, what it doesn't imply is distance or duration. So it doesn't say that like you're going to experience this now or then, or and it's going to last this long. It could last 5 seconds. It could last 20 years. What it means is it's something you can expect in the future, and you could process it in 2 seconds, or you could process it over a very long time. So that's all. That's all those two things mean. Okay.
Okay.
Your fifth card is up here, is your conscious mind. Your
Okay.
sixth card is your unconscious mind. Your seventh card here is your advice card. Your eighth card here is your external stances. Your ninth card is, I almost said fourth, I don't know why. Your ninth card is your hopes and your fears. So your hopes and dreams and your fears. Your
Okay.
last card, my favorite card, is the outcome. Okay, so now we're going to
Okay.
go through each card individually, and I am going to explain to you what this means. And this is where I do this nifty trick of flipping it so we can look at
Ooh,
it in,
yeah.
yeah, we can look at it in the upright position,
Okay.
and then we'll talk about what it means in the reverse position, which is where you have this first card, which is the Four of Swords. So in the Four of Swords, we see a crypt or a tomb for a fallen knight who has his hands raised above him in the prayer meditation. He's deceased, but this is a statue of him. We see one sword on the tomb below him, on the casket, and three swords on the wall. We also see this stained glass window, I'll zoom in there, with a mother and a small child, with all of these colors. So, one of the coolest things about life and the tarot is that color gives us a chance to slip below the literal view of this world. It gets below our senses. We use our senses to get below our senses. And what I mean by that is when we see color, it's representative of energy and a very specific type of energy depending on the color. In this case, we see yellow. And yellow is the creative intellect. It is that aspect of us that, can come up with solutions quite effortlessly. It's creativity and the intellect together. So this is what the knight is, he's all in yellow, right? His tomb and him. And if we looked up at the stained glass window, we see this mother, a symbol of the divine feminine and the mother aspect, consoling or speaking to this young child. And we see all of these colors. We see red, which is passion, movement, fire energy. We see blue in this sense, which is intuition, feeling. We see white, which is purity. We see all these combinations of colors, and we'll get into them, but we see all of the colors represented on this four card. And so, what's interesting about the fours is it's kind of like the foundational structure, stability. It also represents manifestation, right? So this card is imbued with meaning. Swords, again, are representative of air energy. So that's clarity. So this card in its upright position is basically like what I would call the card of meditation, of quiet
Okay.
repose, of quiet kind of, this is the mindset of one who is going to go inside to determine what's going on. Now yours is in the reverse position.
Okay.
So
Sorry, baby's
that's
making a little
okay. That's
noise on
okay.
me.
Babies are tuned into this too. I figured that wasn't you. I know the sound of a baby. How old's your baby?
2 months yesterday.
Oh, congratulations. We have
Thank you.
4-month-old. So how are you doing this? Are you sleeping?
Yeah, I'm sleeping. We're sleeping pretty good. We wake up
Amazing.
a few times throughout the night, but it's quick. We're back to sleep real fast. Yeah.
Is this your first kid?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank
Girl? Is it a girl?
It's a boy. His name's Forrest.
Ooh, oh, Forrest. What a lovely
Yeah.
name.
Thank
Ah,
you.
I know another Forrest who's a young baby. Really.
Oh, cool.
Um, awesome. Well, hi,
Yeah.
Forrest. You got in
Yeah.
the podcast too. So, Forrest had something to say about this card being in the reverse position in
Yeah.
your present situation. Right. Yeah. Right. For I get it. So, what this is saying is that the invitation is for you to get into this mindset. Now, you also have a 2-month old and you're waking up at night and you have a new adjustment in your family. So, your external circumstances may not feel very meditative and contemplative and having the room and the space internally and externally to get into this. So, your present situation is probably reflective of not being able to get into a state like this easily, right?
Yeah.
Right, Forrest? Yeah, he's like, yeah, exactly. So that's your present situation. Nothing more. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just, it is. Okay. So here is your challenge. Your challenge is the Four of Cups. On the Four of Cups, we see a man seated below a tree, kind of like the Buddha, and you'll note another four: structure, stability,
Ah,
manifestation. And we see he's seated on this hill with a tree in it. He's doing his best Buddha impression, but he's kind of like looking down at these three cups on the ground. Again, cups are water, it's intuition, it's feeling. And we can see he's just looking down at these three cups. Now, what he's not noticing, if he would look up and to the left or to the right, he would see a ethereal hand coming out of the sky holding a cup, giving it to him. But he's not. He's looking here. So this is a very interesting card because this is the other kind of introspective, meditative card in the tarot, right?
yeah.
And we started with this one, this fallen knight meditating contemplation. This guy's doing it too, but he's doing your Virgo moon. He's looking at these cups down here, debating, well, this is good and that's not, or should I that? And there's this whole opportunity just right up there, ready for him to accept it as soon as he's ready to look up. Now let's look at the color. His shoes are red. So
Uh,
this is passion. This is movement. This is what is going to support him as he looks up and takes this cup. He also has these blue pants. Again, intuition, feeling. This is going to be supporting him. Underneath his clothing, he has the red, this long sleeve shirt, passion, movement. That is what he is wearing closest to his body. But this vest that he's wearing is green. Green represents growth. It means the potential for growth as well. So this is not a final destination. This is this aspect of him and you that has a lot of room to grow. You're really presenting it to yourself and to the world by it being your outermost layer, right? Your sun sign, so to speak. Um,
yeah.
so the invitation here and the challenge is again to look up and take this cup, this feeling power that you have to summon forth anything in this world and allow it to unfold. Um, you can see what is going to allow you to do that, even in the challenge. This is your challenge, but it is the road. Is that fire energy? Is that
Okay.
red? That's your support, and it's going to be the closest thing to your passion is going to figure in quite importantly, which leads us to great segue, Noah, to your next card, your past card. Fun way of saying the word past. Your past card, the Six of Wands. So here we have the wands. Here's your fire energy, and this is reversed, right? We see a
Mhm.
man on top of a horse, a sly-looking horse, with
Yeah.
a right, with a green cloak over the horse. Again, there's your growth. The man sits on top triumphantly with a wreath, another sign of growth, affixed to his wand. He holds it in his right hand, his hand of logic and analysis. He holds it high. This is a celebratory period. He's riding off to an upcoming challenge or competition, but he's doing so confidently. We can see his boots and his pants are orange. Orange is the blending of red and yellow, which we see the red cape and the yellow underneath it. That's the harmony between the creative intellect and the passion, right? When those two things merge and play nicely with each other, we wear them as orange on us. He also is wearing this wreath on his head, another symbol of growth. Okay, so this is kind of like this triumphant celebration, and it's a six card. So this is communication, cooperation, harmony. Okay,
Okay.
You have it in your past position in the reverse. For you intuitively, I'm going to say this is the lack of fire energy, right? To get to this point of feeling like I know exactly what I want to do. I know I'm not perfect and I'm not a master of it, but I'm going to have all this room to grow. But now I'm going to go pursue it because I know it to be true. This is not a feeling that you have been abundantly familiar with,
No.
right? So that's your past, though. So this is great for you. This is something that you've experienced. You're acknowledging it. You're not judging it. It's just there. It's
Mhm.
okay. But it again is symbolic of this lack of fire energy and kind of just like you need that to cut through the rumination of like, what do I do? I can't figure it out. And I will
Yeah.
give you practical tips and they'll come out through this. So don't worry. Like, I'm not just painting a picture of you and saying, that's who you are. Good luck. Like,
Okay.
you're gonna have some tools. Don't worry. Um, your future card, Page of Swords. Let's flip him over because he's reversed too. We have some more air energy coming in, just like we did at the beginning. And
Mhm.
in this, we see the Page of Swords. Pages are, they're not neophytes, right? They've chosen a course. He's chosen the course of clarity. He's going in that direction, but he's not a master. He's not a knight, even, right? He's not the king and he's not the knight and he's not the queen. He's just kind of beginning his journey of clarity. Now,
Okay.
on this, we can see him supported again by the red shoes. You see the theme here? Supported by your
Ah,
passion, supported by your movement. Green pants again, though, room for growth. Then we see a red, kind of like a pinkish. That's like a blending of the white underneath him, this purity, this authenticity, and his passion on top of the yellow here. So your future has this yellow underneath you. That's the creative intellect again, right?
okay.
That's what is going to be closest to you in this case. And we see the skies. It's quite windy. How do I know it's windy? Look at this tree in the bottom left. It's
Oh, yeah.
blowing this direction so we can see the clouds are actually being blown away because the wind is blowing this way, the clouds would be going that way. So as we look at this, I'm just counting there's 10 birds. Don't know the significance of that. We'll learn it. But this essentially in the upright position is embarking on a path of clarity, and having kind of the clouds reveal this clear blue sky. And blue in the sky is indicative of, again, clarity. In the water, it's intuition and feeling. In the sky, it's like luminosity, clear, cerulean blue sky. You have this in your future position. This
That's good.
doesn't it this doesn't, and it's reversed. So this doesn't mean that, you're not going to be embarking on a path of clarity. It just means that the invitation is for you to figure out how to be upright with this one. Not all upright cards want to be upright. This one does. You
Okay.
want to be able to, and again, I'm going to give you tips for this. So it's not, I'm just saying like, you want to do this, huh? Just figure it out. Um, you really want to be able to confidently use your passion as a support and as a support for your clarity. But it may kind of like, let's go back to your chart for a second. It kind of may be this Uranus aspect here, or kind of maybe your Mars and your feelings. It's
Gotcha.
just, that's okay. It's not
Yeah.
bad. It just means that be aware of it. And when it comes up, you'll use some of these practical tools and tips we'll be going over to kind of mitigate that. Um,
Okay.
Okay, now we get to wow, this is so interesting, Ali. Okay, your conscious and on your unconscious mind. So in your
Okay.
conscious position, and I move through these pretty, this is like the meat of the reading for me. I mean, it's all good, but this is great. So we're going to look at it in the upright position, the Two of Cups. When I started really learning the tarot, this card haunted me. It would
Oh,
not go away. I pulled it, it was just, I was like, I'd be like, there's no way I'm gonna pull this card. I'd shuffle it so good, and then I'd pull it and be like, oh my god. And I got it, and I got it both in the upright and in the reverse position. So I'm very familiar with what it means. So what we
okay.
see alchemically, is we see a man and a woman exchanging cups, right? Cups are feelings, it's intuition. So we see the masculine and the feminine. And for this to show up in your conscious and unconscious positions, the lovers in the other one, it's really quite astounding. So the masculine, the man in this case, is supported again by this kind of creative intellect here, this orangey, yellow, and he's got yellow all over him, and he, just like the woman here, have white underneath it all, purity and authenticity. There is no cloudiness here at all. and we see a red wreath of flowers. So again, passion is what is on his mind. And he's holding the cup in his left hand, and he's taking the cup with his right. So he's presenting the cup, right, with his intuition, and he's taking the cup from the woman, the feminine, with his logical, analytical mind. The woman, she is, look at her shoes, the red
Right.
shoes again, the
Yeah.
intuition being supported by the passion. Again, the white underneath. We see the blue, that's the feeling, that's the intuitive, and then we see that green wreath. You have a lot of wreaths in your
Yeah.
it's really interesting. A green wreath representing growth, potential. It's happening. And she's got both hands on
Okay.
her cups, on her cup, right? So she is
Okay.
firmly grasping. And then we see the caduceus, I think it's called, this twin Hermes staff. It is, yep, Forrest likes that. I get it, dude.
Yeah.
Um, Basically, this is the harmony of these two paths, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. It is the medical staff, the staff of Hermes, and it's also Kundalini energy, it's movement, and that culminates in the zodiac symbol of the lion with wings. This is exactly what you need. You need Leo the lion. He is the leader of fire. He is movement. He is energy. He is exactly what you need in your life. And look how he is brought up between the balancing of the masculine and the feminine. And I just want to point out the literal house on the hills right here.
Yeah.
Like, it is the symbol of like balance and harmony. And it's a two. So, and that's balance, partnership, and duality. Okay. So
Okay.
this is your conscious mind. It's in the reverse position. So you're probably not feeling totally balanced at listen, you have a 2-month-old, so like it's not like, oh, I'm a fucking genius.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, maybe you might be feeling a little on edge lately, and like things are kind of crazy and everything is shifted. Is that, am I honing it? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But truthfully, your conscious mind is it's looking for this balance. It's looking for the intuition and your passion and your creativity to merge and have this knowingness that ultimately will be that spark. That, my hunch, it moves your Pisces sun 1 degree over and you get to that Aries. And that
Okay.
sign of the zodiac there, you're on the cusp. You can move into it real easily. Like, listen, when I say you're the zodiac, to move your sun sign from like Pisces to like Leo, that's a long distance to go, but you got to move
Right.
1 degree. You're probably already there if we're, I mean, you are already there if we're using perfections where they just move it 1 degree each year. So the fire energy is within you. Your conscious mind, here's what's going on with your conscious mind. I'll just say it as bluntly as I can. You're getting served up desires. You're getting served up things that you want that you don't have, or you feel that you don't have. As
Mhm.
they're coming up, my hunch is you're probably getting stuck in your Virgo moon tendency, which is to like deny or judge or go back and forth and be like, oh, that can't be right. No way. That is not going to work for you at all. At
Okay.
all. I mean, it just will not get you what you want. It won't alleviate. It's kind of just like winding up a doll, like a toy, and it's just going to keep winding and winding and winding. Eventually, it'll snap, right? So
Yeah.
don't do that.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you tips again how to do this. So this is your
Okay.
conscious mind. This is what you're aware of. Now let's
Okay.
go to, oh baby, the lovers in your unconscious mind. So here again, we see the classic sign of duality. And this is a card in the major arcana. And this is the 6th card: communication, cooperation, and harmony. Again, right? We see this 6 coming up. Where was your other 6? It was in your wands, in your past. Okay. But
Okay.
this time we see a very different picture. And this is who you really are. Okay.
Okay.
This is you. And I mean, when I say you, like, yes, I mean unity consciousness, but I mean like Ali, like the deepest part of Ali, unconscious, who you actually are, is the lovers. So here's what we see: we see the archangel Raphael, and Raphael is the healer. He's blessing these naked woman and naked man below them. We see 12 flames on this tree, like representing leaves, but they're flames. And those are the sign of the zodiac. Okay. And that
Mhm.
flame is lighting the masculine on fire, right? And what that means is the masculine is objective, it's personal, it's selective, and it's aware of what it wants, right? That's when we go like, I want this. That's the masculine saying, huh, I want that. Okay. The feminine over here, she's got this snake. We're in the Garden of Eden. There's the apple tree, good and evil. We're in duality. She's the unconscious. She's this card here, which is non selective, impersonal. There's no good or bad. There's no right or wrong. If I say, hey, I don't want to be unhappy, the unconscious here is unhappy, and it gives you unhappy. It's receptive, it
Okay.
births. So it's very important that we build this bridge between these two cards here, your Two of Cups and the Lovers. And this is incredibly powerful stuff right here for you. So here's what we're really seeing here. We see duality represented as a pyramid, right? We see
Mhm.
the woman and the man is the base here. And then this third point is this unity consciousness, this Archangel Raphael who says, heal thyself, heal thyself. You can do it. It's this wonderful relationship between that. So people look at the snake and they say, oh, it's the garden of good and evil, and Eve plunged them out of it. No, this is the Kundalini snake. And we move into the world of duality to recognize the unity of everything. But to the degree that we can remember that is the degree of our effortlessness and ease. If we get caught up in the world of duality, it's difficult. Okay.
Oh,
But
oh,
you don't have to worry about this too much because you have the Lovers in the upright position, which basically means when your conscious mind figures out how to communicate effectively the things you want to your unconscious, you got it. And I mean, some people have different cards there. Like, you're ready to give yourself everything you've ever wanted. Like
okay.
everything, like literally everything. And so we build this bridge between our conscious mind and our unconscious. So your Two of Cups is not upright, which means it's not serving you up desires that feel, excuse me, they may not feel congruent or aligned with your external life or circumstances or emotions, even, right? And that's interesting.
Right.
How could your feelings not be aligned with your emotions? Aren't they the same? No, they're your desires. And to the degree that you can feel them and know them to be true, they'll feel good or not. So, what really you're going to do here is whenever a desire comes up, and this is how we're building this bridge, you need to pursue it internally. You need to go to the end of it. So, like, let's say you're trying to figure out what you're supposed to do, okay? Because you are. And we're going to
Yes.
get to your advice card, and that'll help too. But you
Okay.
pick not the thing you're going to do, okay? But the feeling of knowing that you picked the thing that made you feel the way you want to feel. Do you understand? It's the
Yes.
feeling of fulfillment. It's the feeling of knowing you made the perfect choice and are doing the thing that makes you the most happy and you have the most joy, you
Oh,
know, getting up and doing the exact thing you want to do. So don't push that away. To the degree that you push it away is the degree that you'll feel like, I don't know what to do. To the degree
right.
that the thing comes up, and even if it feels foolish and crazy, it's not to say that like everything that comes up as a desire will be achieved, but the pursuing of it and using of your imagination to let it unfold will get you to where you're going much more quickly, and it won't be as much effort and you won't be spinning your wheels. Is kind of like in the traditional Virgo moon sense. Um,
Gotcha.
okay, so let's get to your advice card. A lot of flipping going on here. You got a lot of reversals. So the judgment card we have right after this one where we see Archangel um, uh, Raphael. We now see Archangel Gabriel. And this is my son's name, my 4-month old. And
Oh, cool.
yeah, we see him blowing the trumpet of judgment. And we see this alchemical cross here on his flag. He's wearing this blue tunic, emotion, the golden hair, the creative intellect, and with these flames kind of coming up, the red wings, the passion. So when people hear judgment, they have all sorts of reactions. If they're feeling guilty about something, if they're judging other people, they probably don't feel good when they hear the word judgment. They're probably
Yeah.
recoiling and being like, oh God. But
Yeah.
look at these people below. They're loving it. They're like, please, they're all naked. They're like, yes, yes, judge
Yeah.
me. Because here's the truth. Depending on people's views of the world, this may sit well or not. Um, Everything is forgiven. It is unconditional mercy, forgiveness. There's no judgment that falls down on us outside of our own feelings and beliefs. But the actual judgment day is you're good, you're good, you're good, you're good, everyone's good. So Yours is in the reverse position. Okay. This
Okay.
is a clear indicator that you really need to stop judging yourself. Like, really, 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 really. Like, any
Okay.
judgment you have, like, I say this on multiple levels.
Yeah.
On the intuitive level, I'm telling you this person to person, like, you are not the type of person who needs to be judging themselves harshly. Like, some people need to be have that inner critic dialed up because they're doing things that are not helping them. It's not helping you to judge yourself. It's
Okay.
at all. Also don't judge other people because it's the same thing. But I
Right.
I imagine that's probably easier for you to do than to not judge yourself. So
Yes.
yeah. So don't judge yourself because you are binding yourself to that judgment. You are quite literally preventing what you want to come in to your life, what you desire, and what will make you feel fulfilled and happy because you're judging it. And it won't allow you to even uncover what the thing is as long as you're doing that. So that is your advice card. Like, and it's just
Okay.
like couldn't be more clear. Now
Yeah.
let's get
Good.
to your external circumstances right now. Here we go. Three of Wands. Threes are, again, creativity, groups, and growth. And could it be more clear that this man is, again, the red? He's on a cliff, gazing
Yeah.
out at this world. He's planning. This is the card of planning, strategy, gazing, figuring out. For you, this is a nightmare. This is like, I don't want to be doing this, like, but it is your external, and you have it in reverse, and that's why we'll get into why it's your nightmare too. But he's
Okay.
standing again, red shoes, red cape. There is this checkered and black creative intellect, but then there's this green part of it too, representing growth. And he doesn't have a wreath, but he's got this headband, this
Okay.
yellow golden headband, and he's holding one wand right into the ground, and then behind him are these two wands. So this fire energy. Okay. So again, like I said, this is the card of planning, of figuring out what you want to do.
Mhm.
For you, that is not comfortable right now. You don't want to be, you want to know. You want to know. I can
Yeah.
tell you this card will flip over. A, when you stop judging everything that's coming up or anything. And B, as you pursue the things that come up as feelings, even if they feel incongruent. Here's,
Okay.
I think what's going on with you, and we'll get to these other two cards, and it makes a lot of sense. But I shouldn't say I think. I feel what's going on here is that you are about to unlock a lot of power, like a lot. Like, these are not lightweight cards here, the lovers in your unconscious. I
Okay.
People can sometimes get anxiety, or they feel it coming, you know what I mean, and that freaks them out, and they feel it
Yeah.
sometimes as anxiety or confusion or like feeling stuck, and when in reality it's just you're feeling something big coming, because when you flip this upside down and your energies are balanced, you're about to, like I said, deliver like the holy trinity everywhere you go, to everything you look at and touch, in your relationships, in your world. Like, that's powerful. So that's
Yeah.
probably, don't judge it. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't judge it. Like, oh, why do I feel like it's like, just because you're about to like tap into some like super powerful stuff and like it's normal. It's like people who take like psychedelics, right? If anyone's taking a psychedelic, when you do it again, if you don't have that fear or like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, you're not doing it right. Like, you're missing the point of it. That is supposed to be there because that is your sign that something big is about to happen. Um,
Oh, yeah.
don't fear it. Don't fear it.
Okay.
And that again goes back to your chart. Like, this Uranus here,
Mhm.
something new and big and exciting is going to happen to your life. And I will tell you, based on Jupiter's movement, probably within the next 3 months. Something, and
Okay.
it is absolutely going to come. Don't use that as a sign to like delay action, because that's exactly what my wife would do. She'd be like, oh, something's happening. Okay, good. Got it. Don't have to worry about it. Great. That is not dealing with your Virgo moon tendencies. But
No.
it is based on the transits here. I mean, that's going to conjunct your Uranus, then your Neptune. Neptune, we didn't speak about a ton. Neptune's Poseidon. He's the ruler of your unconscious. He is the ruler of the sea. And that's the lovers in your position. And as
Okay.
Jupiter, Zeus, the boon giver, comes around and conjuncts him, which lines up with him, expect some boons. And that's going to feel good too, for a
Okay.
change. You'll actually have this inner sense of knowingness, which brings us to your hopes and fears. We see the Queen of Swords. She holds in her right hand a sword upright. She's seated on her throne. We see the crescent moons, an angel, and a butterfly transformation. She's got all the colors all over her. She's got a
Yeah.
gray robe, but doesn't matter. She's got this sword. She can cut through any confusion. She can wear whatever she wants. We see the clouds below, but the blue sky above. This is clarity. This is what, and then there we go, the wind, right? Remember in the Page of Swords?
Yeah,
But the wind
yeah.
is still blowing, but it doesn't matter. She can cut through anything at any time. What she represents more than anything is just cutting through the BS, like knowing
Okay.
exactly what you want, going towards it. It's the opposite of your tendency to like get stuck in a pattern. It's just like straight up movement, decisions, transformation because that. And I want to point one other thing out. Look at her shoes. Red
Oh,
shoes again.
yeah.
They're haunting you because you do need that fire energy and it does need to come out. And that fire energy, we'll talk about how to kind of bring it into your life, but
Okay, good.
it is going to be the support that guides you with all of this stuff. Now, your fears are this is one of those cards where it is the opposite. Your fears
Mhm.
are that you never have this clarity. You never get the inner sense of knowingness to pursue what it is you want and what is right for you or the thing. Um, there may be multiple things. Don't worry even about that. But your fear is that you can't figure it out, right? That you get stuck in this holding pattern. I'm here to tell you, don't worry about that. Like, just
Okay.
don't. It's just, there's no reason for it. It's just wasted time and energy. Okay. As soon as I say that, we get your outcome card, which is the High Priestess. Okay. The High Priestess, we see seated on her throne. She's got this, it says Torah or Tarot. It's the book of wisdom in her lap. We see this Christ consciousness orb here, the solar symbol and the crescent moons, the harmony between them, the cross, the crescent moon down here, the blue, intuition. She is intuition personified.
Yeah.
Her card is the moon. That's her planet, rather. We see pomegranates. People think they're grapes. Sometimes they're pomegranates. Vitality springs from her. We see this B and the J. This is the dark and the light and the balance between the two. And she sits comfortably. So the card prior to her is the Magician. He's the one card. He's like
Okay.
doing this whole performance dance. He's like up there, look at me. I got all these things. Whoa, whoa, whoa. She's doing the same thing, but she's just chilling. She's
Okay.
sitting down doing like not nothing, but she lets it come to her. All right.
Gotcha.
This is the card I associate with cannabis. This is the imagination. This is a lot of amazing things, right?
Okay.
You have yours in the reverse position.
Mhm.
Okay.
Of course.
You are very comfortable based on your elemental breakdown. Not maybe not comfortable, but you have these psychic waters all over the place in spades, right? It's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Your outcome here, right, is to use that feeling power but to lock it in with your desires, to feed your desires, feel what you want to deliver it to your unconscious. Okay. This is, I could easily say, well, you know what? My first thought, and I had a, just as I'm talking, I have a lot of thoughts, but my first thought was like, oh, you know what? She needs to take this action. She shouldn't be contemplating what's going on. And I think that's true, but I don't think in a physical outward expression way. I think the way you take your action is by using your feelings to feed your desires to your unconscious. Okay. And that is, in a way, what is going to spark this inner flame for you. Now,
Gotcha.
here is what you do internally and in the world to get your passion going up. You need to find the things you really, really, really love. And if you don't have something that's getting you excited right now, go back to when you were a kid. Okay. Go back to your early memories and dreams and loves and start going back there imaginally, feeling what you wanted back then, feeling what you thought was like made you feel good. And from there, what desires arise, that's what you feed. That's what you feel. That's how you're going to get your spark going again. It's weird. It's like we're kind of turning water into fire, which is not how people do things. But because of the power of your unconscious here with the lovers, all you need is a spark. All you need is that spark in Aries, that take charge, kind of pursue it. And to be clear, that's kind of a masculine energy if we're tapping into Aries. That's the emperor. So this is something that you are going to use with authority. If you're not the type of person who's used to kind of like taking charge,
No.
you're going to have to you're going to have to do that with yourself, basically.
Okay.
Like, and there may be some resistance. There
Mhm.
may be some pushback. There may be some, this doesn't, I don't want, maybe uncomfortable is what I'm saying. There may be
Yeah.
fear, but you have all this Capricorn stuff. Like you got to move right towards it. When fear pops up and doubt pops up, go right towards it. Don't turn
Okay.
away. Don't turn away, because that is your path towards summoning fire energy in your life. Um, so that is your spread. Any questions?
No, I love this. I feel very excited to be moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it is always, you're always moving forward in a way. Just remember, your themes here are to get that spark lit, to like get that flint, hit it against a rock, whatever it is, and get the spark going. And then
Yeah.
from that spark, know that as obstacles, as you try to like dampen it with your feelings and your rumination, just be like, no, I'm not doing that. I know this is real. If I have the desire for it and I have the passion for it, nothing else matters. External circumstances doesn't matter. Where I am right now doesn't matter. It's unimportant. That's your destination. You're inevitably getting there. So as long as you can hold on to that, you'll be fine. You'll absolutely be
Okay.
fine. Live from the end of what you want. Don't think about the means of how you're going to get there.
Okay.
Just don't do that. It's me just
No.
telling you to not do things.
No, well,
uh,
I mean, I feel like that's what I needed to hear. I feel like that's what I needed to know because I feel like oftentimes when I'm like working towards something, I'm looking for signs all over. And as soon as an obstacle pops up or as soon as a fear comes in, I'm like, oh, that's my gut telling me turn away, turn away.
right.
And
Right.
yeah, so I think I just get stuck. I'm just like spinning.
This is this is because you have so much water energy there. Like you're getting lost in those waters sometimes. It's kind of
Yeah.
like think of like a drowning person. And this is for a lot of people right now. It's not just for people with a, an abundance of water energy. Like there is a flood going on right now. It's not a literal flood, but it's a metaphorical psychic flood of unconscious material. And if you look at someone who's drowning, not that we should be witnessing this, but you hear the
Right.
descriptions of people is they first start out by just getting very animated and exaggerated in their movements. They're freaking out because they're drowning. And then what happens is they start, because of all this energy they're outputting, is they start to go below. And then they
Right.
bob up, and then you'll see them bob, and then it's a pretty even amount of time that they're bobbing up. But as they really begin to drown, the time you see them above water is less and less. So
Right.
what's happening here is you're going underneath, you're in the water. It's like you can actually use this as your support. Like if you ever seen Moana, the water like lifts her up out of the water. Water can actually do that. But most of the time, if we're fighting against it, we can get lost in those waters and kind of get pulled down. The good news is we don't actually die, but we're
Right.
kind of delaying the process of us walking on water. Walking on water doesn't mean I get out there and walk on a lake and like moonwalk like Michael Jackson. It means that I am on top of my emotions. I am on top of my feelings. I know how to navigate these easily and comfortably, so my emotions no longer serve as a hindrance to me getting to my destination, but as a support for me getting there. So that's what that means. And yeah, when you're kind of like, when the fear and the doubt comes up, just flip it in your mind. And you can do a very simple imaginative technique, which is do this little exercise that you say to yourself, whenever doubt comes up, I'm just going to feel really good. And you'll be like, what? Yeah. But what will start to happen is what will start is doubt. And you'll feel its familiar kind of like echoes and resonance will very quickly turn into excitement and passion. And so you can
Right.
change the doubt and the fear. Like when I feel fear now, when I used to feel fear, I would run away and I would hide. But now when
Yeah.
I feel fear, I'm like, I'm fucking doing that. I am
Yeah.
totally doing that. Even if it's a big thing, I'm doing it. I don't think I'm going skydiving, but not because I'm fearful of it, because I don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so it doesn't mean you have to do everything you know don't want to. It's just that is your trick, is imagine replacing doubt and fear with joy and love. And that will actually start to happen. That's like a nice little shortcut for you.
Perfect.
So, yeah, that is the reading. I'm very happy we were able to do this. This has been,
Oh, I'm so thankful.
yeah, this has been great. Anything else before we go?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited to start implementing these things.
Good. If you have any questions, let me know. You have my email and all of that. And this will probably be out, if not tomorrow, then Friday. So
Okay,
we're
cool. I
broadcasting it
know
out in the
I was
world.
thinking about like, oh, I should take notes. I'm like, duh, it's gonna be on the
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly. You're gonna hear it, and so will a lot of other people. So
Cool. Well, I appreciate you and all that you do. You've definitely been a game changer for the way that I think about things. So
I'm
thank
glad.
you.
I'm glad, especially with the new kid. Like people need game changers.
Yeah.
uh,
Totally.
Amazing. Well, lots of love to your family, and you're on a very excellent path. So thanks, Allie.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye bye.
Bye bye.
Driving through the forest, running out of time with my mind on my honey. I got money on my mind, money on the inside, money on the outside. Turn water into wine, do it with your mind. Cosmic art flow, you already know. Big ass energy, kundalini grow. Flowing through your body, don't be afraid. Let yourself go and ride the wave.
How sweet is Allie as a human being? Just the nicest? We'll go with the nicest. Thanks for listening to that. I hope you enjoyed it. You can go find the readings on the website under the readings tab. It's easy to do this. I make it pretty easy. If it speaks to you, great. I'm going to try to do one of these once a month, something like that, schedule permitting. So stay tuned for that. Don't hold out, because these aren't going to be free anymore. She got the only free one. So there'll be an option coming up on the forums that if you want to potentially be included in a broadcast and have this publicly broadcast, because you're into that thing, you can do it. But it's not going to be free anymore. Most free things from me, just to be clear, not all. Like, there's still tons. All the podcasts are going to be free forever. I don't gate this stuff. But like for services and things, like there's going to be an energy exchange involving money. There's a sliding scale. A few people hit me up about it. I don't mention it all the time because I don't want people to abuse it, but I trust my ability to suss you out. If you just don't got it right now, but you want it, I'm trying to come up with levels for everyone to accommodate them. I also have to be respectful of my time. Also, if I promised you a free astrology reading and you're like, what the fuck, Noah? Where's my reading? It's still coming. I just have to fit it into my life, but they're coming. And as I'm sure you can imagine, I have to prioritize certain things. So just letting you know, I'm on my shit. I pay my karmic debts. I know what I'm doing. That's it for this episode. Money episode coming up next. Buckle up. We'll be talking about a whole lot of stuff. And then in LA, I have a lot of stuff going on. You can hear a lot of different things, a lot of conversations. So stay tuned for that, because I'll be there next week at this time. Woo-wee. Smoking that ganja legally. So hit me up in LA if you want to smoke some weed. All right. Instagram, DM me. I'll see you next week, and happy imagining. Bye-bye.